It's time again then for Formula One in Shanghai. Northwest of the thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. It played host to Formula One's 1000th Grand Prix back in 2019. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight before the cars brake into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. Ryan lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Sainz, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Stroll, Russell, Gasly, Ricciardo, Ocon, Leclerc, Verstappen, Bottas, Magnussen, Hamilton, Albon, Zhou, Tsunoda, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And alongside me today, a man small in stature but big on comment, Anthony Davidson. Hello. As we all know, every single driver wants to know what's required of them. And in the case of this driver, I think things are pretty stable at the moment. That they're doing what the team require.
Well, that's the thing, as a driver, it's easy to feel like you're the individual. It's all about you. And, you want to further your career the best you can, but you have to have the team hat on as well and play the team game, work with your teammate as best you can. It's not an easy balance to figure out.
Launch map is good, but we need to learn the gears, so go into each one when you can. We're going to need some work on the brakes, so put some energy into them and warm the tyres as well, please. Okay, radar is clear, weather is looking good for now. Decent parking. Let's try and get a good launch as the lights go out. Okay, so that's the rest of the grid forming up now. Be patient and watch for those lights. DRS now available. Okay, clear. That was the fastest lap of the race. Keep this up. Well done. approaching the pit window now, and you're going to be on hards next time. Box, we're coming in this lap. Okay, mate, we've got some clear track in front of us, and let's make the best of it. So please make this next one a very fast lap. Remember, box this lap. Keep an eye on your distance to the speed limit line as you approach and make sure you don't speed. Okay, don't worry about that target for now. Let's just focus on this pit stop. Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that. Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross onto the track. You might experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible. P12, you've got P12. They're on old mediums. That's Hulkenberg behind. Less than a second separates you. Okay, so gap to the leader, 18.0 seconds. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go. And 11 laps to go. Okay, mate. Okay, that's Alexander ahead. Right, let's go. Let's try and get past them and put them on the back foot. Push, push. Oh, great stuff. You hit that target. Really good job. Ricardo's in the pits. Alexander's coming in for his stop now. Okay, shoes behind you now. Okay, they're on old hard tyres. Okay, they've done 10 laps on those tyres. We think they've got one more stop. Time last lap, 1 minute 38.7. Okay, gap ahead, 7.7 seconds. Reminder that you can play around with the RS modes in the MFD or lift sometimes and ease onto the brake pedal for some manual recharge. Pack, that's P1. Okay, Science is behind you. Okay, a full lap separates you now. Okay, they're on fresh hards. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now. Okay, 7 laps to go. Okay, we've got a full course caution. The safety car's out. Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive delta. There's been... Officials aren't looking to push for a safety car right now. Just be careful. Okay. In just a moment. Stand by. Green flag. Okay, be very careful, the floor's incurred massive damage. Okay, the stewards have now enabled DRS. DRS is now online. Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 5.2 seconds. There's serious damage to the underbody. Repeat, serious damage to the underbody. Okay, so all of our tyre pressure data is currently reading 0. Assuming they still look inflated to you, we're going to guess that it's just a bad sensor. Shouldn't be anything to worry about. Okay, this is your final lap of the race.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
Race victory and fastest lap as well. You can see how much, by the way, that fastest lap mattered to them today. It's a bit like marking your territory, isn't it, Crofty? They're looking for absolute dominance, and this seems to be their mission this year.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure. And no doubt, they'll be celebrating tonight. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.